Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Yes She Can project. I'm so excited today to be joined by the gorgeous Sarah Haran. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Michelle. Thank you so much for having me here today. Absolute delight.
Ah, thank you for coming. It's been honestly, I cannot wait for people to go on your website but we'll get to that anyway. If you could if you could just give us a brief introduction, just kind of explaining a little bit about who you are and what you do, please.
Yeah, so Sarah Haran, commonly or often known as the bag lady, and I design handbags, and I've designed them with a little bit of a twist, in that you can update them really easily and make them interchangeable so that they have endless looks.
Wow.
Um, so that is our main USP, I think.
Amazing. So you didn't always start off in the fashion industry, Sarah, did you? You went from a career in tech before leaping into fashion. Was there a certain point for you where you thought to yourself, I do want to make the move?
Um, I think I was actually started, well, you're right. I was in tech, and I was really using handbags as a hobby, really, and
Okay.
to make sure I was doing something other than tech, to be honest. It was a startup business that I had got myself into, and that required a lot of long hours,
Yeah.
as most startups. And I think along the way, I kind of lost a lot of my hobbies.
Oh.
And I do remember somebody saying to me one day, "Oh, what do you do as a hobby?" And I was like, good point. I realize I don't have one, and I don't think
Oh.
would count as a hobby. So I started to just start again, really.
Yeah.
I always made clothing, and I didn't
Okay.
really want to do that again. So I thought, well, bags, that's different. So I think I'll do that. Um, and then eventually that just kind of snowballed, and it got to stage, I was about 50, and I thought, I do think it's time to do something different.
Yeah.
A lot of time in tech, and this feels like the right moment to do it. So in 2017, I left tech, not overnight, took a bit of
Okay.
time. But I was in a board position. It was a publicly listed company, so you couldn't just like, hey, goodbye.
Yeah.
So to go through a bit of
Sure.
a process. And then that was me in my house on my own saying, well, what do I do now?
Ah.
So
Did it feel like the right point for you, or were you still frightened, because you'd had perhaps not security, but you had had that
yeah,
different
money.
career?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. So yeah, I think any of these things is frightening. Change itself is frightening and different.
Yeah,
So that certainly was a big consideration. Um, but I also thought that if I don't do it now, then when am I going to do it? And do I
of
really see
course.
myself in this job, for another
Yeah.
5, 10 years? And I thought, no, I should give myself the opportunity to do something different. And it just felt like the right time. And I remember thinking at the end of the month, oh, why is there no money in my bank?
Oh,
And it's that you suddenly realize, oh God, yeah, you are standing on your own 2 feet now.
yeah.
And actually, you do have, that comfort blanket has been pulled away. Anything that now goes into your bank is has to be done by yourself.
Yeah. And it's a
So.
scary time, isn't it? It's almost like the rug gets pulled, but it's a bit different because it's what we chose.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it's not as if you've not put yourself in the position.
Yeah.
But I did plan in advance, and make sure that, I had enough cover, and that never burn your bridges just in case.
Yeah.
And even if you don't go back to from whence you came, there's always somewhere else to go.
Yes.
So I kind of comforted myself with that.
Mhm. How important do you think it is to have that kind of backup plan?
Um, I think it depends on the type of person you are. I think for me, it was important, because I can be a bit of a worrier, but you've got
Yeah.
other people that can just jump in at the deep end.
Yeah.
And, that's the sort of thing that doesn't worry them. And so they're more likely to go, "Oh, well, things will be okay.
Yeah.
And I'm probably a bit more of a glass half empty, so I'm more likely to say, well, maybe, but so yeah, there's a bit of that going on, I think.
Bless you. So what do you think coming from a career in IT taught you about creating like a creative luxury brand?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because two things really are like so divergently different. That said, there's a lot of process, there's a lot of foundations of how to run a business.
Yeah.
I think that's the case in any business that you're running, and these skills are transferable.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of what I was doing was we started out as a startup anyway, so I had that experience,
Yeah.
and then as we got bigger and scaled and that business did get very big. Um, and so some of those skills were transferable, just like the useful things, looking after people,
Of course.
processes, general, setting up bank accounts, just all the things that, you
Yeah.
kind of take for granted. And then when there has maybe been something that's just a little bit more challenging. I can fall back on that and say, well, it's not quite the same thing, but
Yeah.
in my head, I'm like, well, at this company, this happened, so you've seen this before. And I think that always just helps. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, I think that's helpful.
Yeah, for sure. So with your bags in particular, Sarah, I
Yeah,
love the fact that not only are they beautiful, but they're so
sure.
functional as well. Why do you think that that was one of the key things that you wanted to make sure that you implemented into your business?
Yeah, um, probably, probably a little bit driven by myself, and my own experience with handbags. When I was work in this corporate career, there was a lot of traveling. There was a lot of going places overseas, a lot of train journeys and plane journeys, and you do start to need a sort of a functional bag.
Yeah.
Somewhere to put your laptop in, just all these things that you need. Um, and really, when I looked at the market, and even when I was doing all of that, it was like there's nothing really out there that doesn't end up looking like a techie backpack.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so join the boys,
Hmm.
um, and something that you could actually take from day to night.
Yeah.
So that was really where the functionality came in. So I wanted it to look really lovely. So you didn't feel embarrassed like leaving your bag in the corner and thinking, oh
Hmm.
God, I just wish I hadn't carried that bag with me. Um, and so that functionality. So the inside of our bags have got lots of pockets. I try and make sure that you can wear them in different ways, and obviously you can
Yeah.
add on the interchangeable accessories. So that sort of functionality, I find not only is it useful and versatile, but it actually makes the bags and personalize them for yourself.
Of course.
And there's beauty in that because everyone's got their own way of styling things.
Yeah, I mean,
So
even the down to the colors and the patterns of some of the accessories and everything,
yeah,
it's just amazing. Like it's elevated, I think,
thank
from
you.
because when you think of a functional bag, like you say, you normally think of
Yeah,
it being pretty boring or bog standard, and
yes.
you won't be able to get a little bit of your personality in there. But honestly, seeing the bags on your website, I was like, that's a bit of me. That's a bit of me. It's so
Yeah. Well,
great.
yeah, I think that has evolved as well. Because I didn't think of all of these things at once. And
Yeah,
I suppose that's a good thing. It's like in business, you learn as you go anyway.
definitely.
And the more customers you get, the more you learn from them.
Mhm.
And I always think it's really important to listen,
Yeah,
and be willing to listen and learn. Because everything's evolving, life's evolving, so you
yeah.
just can't stand still.
And I would imagine that you evolve as well as a designer in
Yeah.
the way that you lean towards certain trends or certain patterns.
Yes, yeah, that's true. And I think you go through sort of phases of, oh, that would be really good. And now I'm sort of maybe going into more of feels a bit more pared back,
Okay.
but allowing the accessories to do the talking rather than
Hmm.
the full bag overtaking something. So that's a bit of a change. and yeah, fashion, it does change and move. And
Yeah.
again, you want to just sort of try and keep up with that. Um, and I think the good thing is that because with our system you can clip on different things to the bag, it can mean it evolves regularly. In fact, every quarter we're bringing out new ways to decorate the
Wow.
same bag.
Yeah.
Um, so that's quite nice as well. So you can keep in with trends.
Amazing. So it did actually take you, Sarah, the 3 years to design your first bag, didn't it? So what lessons did you take out of that experience in terms of patience, obviously,
Patience.
and resilience?
Um, yeah, I think it's one of these things that when you're designing something, it's like anything, it's just, I suppose it's like an invention.
Yeah, it
So
is.
you've got to sort of try one thing, iterate it, move it on. Does that work? Oh, that's not quite right. So 3 years sounds like a long time, but actually at the same time, I was developing the range, developing how things all fitted together. Because it's all interchangeable, it's actually a lot more complex than I had initially probably imagined.
Yeah.
Um, because things, if you're selling a bag and then you'll want somebody to update it, then the things that you are designing have got to fit on that
Of
on
course.
previous versions of the bag.
Hmm.
So it's a lot more complicated than as I say than I'd planned for.
Do you think if you'd have
And
known that before, do you think you'd have still had the same journey?
I think I still would have wanted to have done it because that's the thing that makes it interesting and fun as well.
Of course.
So I guess the lesson is that you can't stand still and you have got to be willing to evolve and change things up.
Yeah,
Uh, so I think
definitely.
that's yeah.
So you touched upon the functionality of your bags, and
Yeah.
obviously, when you mentioned pockets, like you had me at pockets, you know how much we love pockets.
Yes, pockets. Yes.
Excuse me. Um, oh dear, excuse me.
It's okay. All right.
So when it comes to the relationship that we as women have with our bags, it's often so powerful and personal. Like when we're choosing something, it has to fit
Mm.
in with our style, what we like, the practicality that we need. What,
Yeah.
why do you think that this is kind of a niche that you have really blossomed in? Because we all have certain things that we need out of our accessories.
Yeah. Um, I think initially I was driven by trying to create a bag that worked for me in that
Yeah.
corporate sort of world. So that very much inspired the whole day to night thing, not having to take two bags with me, the easy change at the end of the evening, take the
Yeah.
smaller bag off and then decorate that, and then you look as if you've made an effort to go straight out
Mhm.
rather than it just looking like you've literally just gone not even bothered to do anything. So that's an easy win. Um, and I think over time, then it's been about thinking about how people use these bags if they're traveling. Lots of people will take a few of the bags on holiday, but you probably only need to take two or three of our bags. And in fact, I reckon you could just take one because
Wow.
there's so many accessories that you could
Yeah.
then make that bag look different
Hmm.
and use the one. Because really, even a one bag comes with two on our backs, so you've got two
Wow.
even before
Yeah.
you really get to it. So I think that is something that's really evolved as we've gone through the journey, and then just listening to what people want. It's amazing how many bags are designed by men as well, uh,
Wow.
which I always find slightly odd because then they're the least likely people to test them as well.
Yes, of
Um,
course.
and I do test all of the bags that I come up with. I go through various stages, but I test them. And I think so from understanding that, that's made me understand, how women live their lives. And a lot of
Yeah.
women live their lives through their handbags.
Yes, totally.
It's the one thing I always say that when you leave your house, you rarely leave without your handbag.
Hmm.
And if you live in the UK, probably a coat, depending on what
Yeah.
time of year it is, or
Yeah.
a brolly.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of relationship. It's the thing that you carry with you that almost has your home in.
Yeah.
inside your bag.
It's an extension of
Probably
us, isn't it? A
it
lot of
is
the
an
time.
extension, yeah. And you probably take that to all your moments of joy or the bad things that happen to you or the challenges, your
Yeah.
bag is always something that's there with you. And so that's really sort of made me think about that. And, pockets are good because you can put mementos in them. So there's all those little things that go on, pens need to be in a pocket so you can find them. It's just these little
Mhm.
things, for
Lucky Charms
hugely.
if you take
Yeah,
something with you all the time.
exactly. Yes. Yeah. And if you read a lot, book, you make a Kindle, just all these sort of these things. So yeah, I think it's and for many women it makes people feel confident because it's something that, they've got their stuff in there, so they know that. They're carrying a little bit of them. So it's like, when you wear a dress or something, you probably the next day you don't wear the same dress again,
Hmm.
but you'll probably use the same bag
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
because you've got all your stuff in it. So there's that sort of that constant relationship.
It's
And
about
I
having
see
a
that.
constant, isn't it, actually?
It is,
That's
yeah.
true.
It's what you carry with you really all the time. And that's one of the things with our bags that they all things fit into each other. So even if you move like change bags, then if the bigger bags, all the pockets are the same layout, so then you can put the stuff back in because it's
Oh,
highly annoying
wow.
if you don't do that. Um, and then if you've got a smaller bag, then you can use that on another bag. So everything sort of moves interchangeably through the range, which again I think it's quite nice because then you've got everything you need. And so that gives you that bit of confidence as well.
Wow. So you have got a global audience of customers, Sarah, haven't
We
you?
do,
With like
yes.
over 10,000 five-star
Yeah.
reviews. What
Yeah.
do you think has been the secret to building that kind of size of community?
Yeah. I think partly listening, actually.
Yeah.
Um, but knowing sometimes you need to know when to stop listening as well and not use the listening as an excuse not to move forward. Um, but I think making sure that we kind of have held on to this sort of bags of joy thing. And I do think that one of the things that's probably lacking in a lot of larger companies or even any company can be service. And I know it sounds a bit drivelly, but
No, I
actually,
get that.
we do talk to our customers
Mhm.
and we do listen to them. And if they've got something that sounds like a good idea, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, well, we could do that. And I think just communication.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't really, even though, I've got these aspirations where I'd like to get to, it doesn't say on my aspiration list that I should get so big that I can't talk to a customer or just
Yeah.
become a sort of a global entity that no
Hmm.
one really knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So that would be, I think that understanding where you want to get to with that sort of view means you kind of start with that at the
Definitely.
beginning.
I think as well, though, sometimes I think what makes it so wonderful is that by listening to your customers, you're kind of taking them on the journey with them and they feel they're more invested because they feel part of the decision
Yes.
making when it comes to the evolution of the business.
Yeah, that certainly has been the case. And we've been lucky enough to have customers with us almost from the get-go, which
Wow.
is nice as well.
Oh, that's
Yes.
so
Yeah.
lovely. So
Yeah.
you have a goal of reaching 10 million in revenue by 2028.
Yeah.
What excites you most about it?
I've got over the pain of that thought. Yes. Um, I quite like change, and I'm not fazed by that. It can be scary,
Yeah,
but I think it would be just nice to, even if I don't get to that, to have been on a journey that's where you sort of have that as a destination.
yeah,
I think that's a good. I like that idea. And yeah, of course, it would be amazing to get there, but it's not just about the monetary or I got to 10 million. It's like what you do on the way, the people
of
you've
course.
met, the opportunities to like talk to other yeah, to other people,
Yeah,
customers, and to be able to evolve the business as one has gone along.
yeah,
Um, and to be honest, if at the end of the day, we really wouldn't be anything without customers and obviously our team. but primarily customers because everyone
Mhm.
needs those. So it's nice to think that some of them might still be there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and for them to have been part of that, I kind of like that too.
Yeah, for sure. I think we need to sit down and we need to have a chat outside of this, reverse engineer the 10 million and get you there.
I
Put some
know, that's it.
strategy
I
in
know,
place.
I know, that's it. Yeah, it's exactly how you get right there. I know. Gosh, because whatever you say today will never be as it's going to be anyway. It's like when you do
Yeah.
these 3-year business sheet, when you do them in Excel and you write this amazing business plan with all these numbers and everything, you're like, well, year two didn't really shape up to be like that.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
wonder how year three is going to be. It was probably like year two.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's like,
But then we have to consider like even if we don't hit those military goals that we have in our mind,
yeah,
we have learned so much along the way that there is even the stuff that goes horrifically wrong in business, that there is
yes,
always lessons to be learned. And I think sometimes that's worth more
you're
than
right.
the actual
Yeah.
cash.
Yeah, 100%. No, yeah. You learn more from the things that go wrong,
Yeah,
and then you hope that next time that's gone wrong doesn't go wrong in that same way again,
yeah,
And often it's just another it will be a totally different thing, and you're like, oh my God, okay, right. We just got to try and keep moving forward.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, and not only the success that you've had sales wise, you've had so much PR and journalists and celebrities raving about your brand, Sarah. Like how did you manage to get such well-known names on board and the amount of coverage that you've got so far?
Yeah, I know, and it still never feels enough. It's always like there's always another thing, Still, one day I'll be in this, and one day I'll be that. And
Yeah.
that. But I mean, I think lucky would be the wrong word, but I've been very fortunate. Although I do believe there's always a little bit of luck. With one of our first and main brand ambassador, was just literally I met somebody else at an event. It was actually a business networking event, as it happens.
Okay.
And I got chatting to her, and this girl, 6, 9 months later, contacted me and said, "Oh, I really want to buy something from you to send to Anthea Turner. Would you do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, of course," which was lovely. And then Anthea received the bag and started, loved it enough. So the
Oh,
person that organized that obviously knew her well enough.
yeah,
And so that sort of thing is just, I mean, you couldn't write that on a business plan really. So there was an
yeah,
element of luck just being there. And that really did help us sort of move
yeah,
forward. And then it's just really trying to meet people and somebody who knows somebody, within a
yeah.
within a network. And people buy people bags. And so, yeah, we've been fortunate in being able to make as much use of that as we can.
Yeah.
But, there are some brands that have got like hundreds and thousands of pounds. And, so we do what we can
Yeah.
and try and make the best of any opportunity that we can that
Mhm.
we can get.
And I
Um,
think I think the
but
important thing to note as well though is that it takes time. Like you said,
yes,
you had met that person. It's all
mhm,
about putting in that groundwork and
it
meeting as
really
many
is.
people as possible. Because it doesn't
Yeah.
come straight away, does it? Like you said, she contacted you 9 months later after you'd met
Exactly.
her.
Yeah. And it is, it's like, it's such the one thing, that I often think to myself, if you could only buy time,
Yeah.
if you really could, and it's just impossible. But at the same time, if anybody knows a way into Princess Catherine, when she's
Okay.
queen, anybody like that, we could do
Yeah.
with a couple of royal connections. So yeah, it's about networking, and you're right, just taking an opportunity and
Yeah.
a bit of a wing and a prayer sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
definitely.
One day, Kate. One day,
Yeah,
Kate.
I think we should write a draft
I know,
letter
that's
to the
it. How do I
palace.
get to Kate? Exactly. Yes, yeah,
It
yeah.
only takes one time though, doesn't it?
That's it. She seems to be pretty hung up on Strathbury and Mulberry at the moment. So I was like,
Okay.
maybe I should just change the name of the company and have it, as long as there's a berry in it, we'll be okay. So that's
Or
nice to say.
as soon as she gets yours, then she'll see that it's better. So
It's
it's
better, that's it. It's better than a berry.
yeah.
That's
New
it.
tagline incoming.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
sustainability is obviously really important in fashion,
Yes.
Sarah. And now that you have your interchangeable bags, was that a main focus consideration for you? The fact that you could keep reusing essentially the same bag over and over again, but updating it?
Yeah, I think when I don't think it was an initial thought that this is the way to go or this is the
Yeah,
thing to do. So I think that's come over time, and as the yeah, I think if you think back maybe 10 years, it wasn't such a thing.
no, not at
It's
all.
clearly it. I think most people would now agree that the whole environment is a thing and it does
Yeah,
need to be looked after and we do need to do something about it. So I like that idea that really you could use one of our bags, you can use it as long as you like, and all you're really out doing is being able to change that look and
yeah.
using smaller accessories on a bag.
Mhm.
So that is, I think that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Um, and we do use leather. And I know there's lots of shouting and screaming about leather and everything else, but actually, there are replacements, but many of them are not at all good for the environment either.
Yeah.
So, in fact, they're probably worse.
Hmm.
Anything that's UPV, any of these sorts of things, they're all those little bits in things that
Like
get
microplastics.
all those microplastics
Mm.
are in those developed um, plastics and yeah. So it is something that you do get people that say to you, oh well, it needs to be the veg and it needs to be this, that, and the next, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, actually, and I'm a great believer that when there is a solution like that, then 100% it makes complete sense. But at the moment, there really isn't.
Hmm.
And unless you're a really big brand like Hermes or Stella McCartney, these sorts of people, even Stella McCartney, her bags are not. She knows herself.
Yeah,
But you need big factories to develop that type of stuff. So
totally.
yeah, but this is a small way of making a small difference.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so it's a step, and if everyone did that, then might
Yeah.
be
If everyone can do a small
nice.
bit, then it'll make a
A
big
small bit.
difference.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So thinking a little bit along the lines of your personal life, Sarah, you've lived kind of everywhere from Thailand to Scotland.
Mm.
Have you noticed any of those particular experiences seeping into either your design process or your ideas for the bags? Have you taken anything from that?
Yeah, I think the whole environment of traveling is helpful when you're
Yeah.
designing things because you've been doing that. So that's good. And I think when I lived in the Far East, just the colours and just all of the fast, not fast fashion, but just their approach is, was always really refreshing. They always had lots of tailors. And in
Okay.
fact, when we lived in the Middle East, there was a lot of tailors as well. It was a very different way of doing things. You didn't, obviously you didn't have the internet, so you didn't go on the internet and order something and it's there the next day and you throw it out by the end of that next day because it's like
Yeah.
to pieces.
Hmm.
So things were much more thoughtful and considered. And I think that is something that I quite like to stick to,
Okay.
and make something. It might take a little bit longer, but I really have thought about it. And a lot of the time when people say this, oh, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? I'm like, yeah, I have. And we've got this, or we've got that, or this is the approach we've taken. So it's still good to so far no one's not thought of something I haven't thought of yet. So that's
Okay.
reassuring in
Yeah.
some stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I like it when people suggest other things as well, because
Yeah.
no one knows everything.
Definitely. So aside from everything that you've got going on at the moment, you also
Mm.
have your own podcast called Three Bags on a Boat. Was
Yes.
that inspired? Where did the idea for that come from?
Yeah, actually I thought about this for quite a while and I was just sort of I wanted to investigate people's stories and as we were talking about earlier, their love affair with the handbag and that
Yeah.
emotional connection. And so Vicky White, who's Anthea's manager, and I had discussed it on and off, been laughing about it for years and all the time I'd known her anyway. It felt like
Yeah.
years. And then we got to the point where I was like, oh, we really let's try this. It's a bit of cash, expensive, and all of that, but actually, I think it's a nice, it's interesting. It's a
Yeah.
different approach to what you keep in your handbag. For us, it's not about the what; it's more about the why and
Yeah.
that connection with it. So that's been really nice. Kate Garraway. So she lost her husband, and then it's the mementos that she carries
Oh,
as a result of that.
yeah.
Lizzie Cundy, she keeps the most extraordinary amount of stuff in her bag. It's
Does
just like
she?
crazy stuff. It's like, she's got a job where she's on the red carpet doing a lot of stuff late at night. So, she's got pajamas, and you're like, what are you hoping for? And plastic hats, just in case it rains.
Of course, that's
So
smart to be fair.
it's just like these things that, again, people have their lives and the way they live their lives
Yeah.
is reflected in the contents of their bags. But,
Hmm.
most people will have, a brush or a pen, but it's these little personal stories
Yeah.
that I think that's what it sort of uncovers. And I think that's nice.
And I think it like plays into, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm like quite a nosy, well, nosy or inquisitive, either or,
Yes.
person. So to
Yes.
find out what other people have in their handbags, yeah, it sounds
Yeah,
brilliant, right up
yeah,
your
it
street.
is. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it is. And you're right. Whichever way you go, nosy or inquisitive, whatever, I think the human condition is such that we tend to be
Totally.
like inquisitive, wanting to bring our lives forward and
Yes.
learning. And that's all the nice ways of saying we're
I'll
bloody nosy.
take it.
Yeah. Shoot me while you're on your bag. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting.
What's been your proudest moment as a founder so far?
Um, I think, well, we've managed to keep this going now for about coming up 6 years. So I
Wow.
think that in itself,
Yeah.
because as you know yourself, and as many people listening to this or will know that, it's hard.
It is.
At the end of the day, it is only you, and it can be lonely. And, even, with staff and team, you're always wondering, God, is something going to happen? What's going to
Mm.
come next? And again, the human condition is such that out of all of the things, it's normally the staff that throw you the biggest surprises,
Yeah.
uh, just the whole people thing. Um, so I think, yeah, that we're still here, that we've got customers that actually like the
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
And so I feel proud about that. And customers, and my own family, have really supported me through this handbag craziness. So I'm proud that at this moment I haven't managed to let them down yet, but always say that with a yet. And yeah, I think there's been like business awards and things that we've done within the
Yeah.
business. And I'm proud that we've managed to give jobs to people and all that sort
Of
of thing.
course.
Um, but I think it's the customers that you take with you, and proud to have them and keep them, and proud that they would bother to give their hard-earned cash,
Hmm.
to us. There's lots of handbag companies out there, so it's nice to think that, somebody liked it enough, at least once, and hopefully more
Yeah.
than once, to come
Oh,
back. So yeah, so
yeah.
I think that's the thing.
I love that. So on the flip side, what has been your biggest challenge?
Oh, challenges, God,
You're like, how long have you got,
I know,
Michelle?
that's it. Let's spend the next 5 hours. Isn't it funny? You can list off and rhyme out the challenges and all the terrible things that happen much quicker than you can all the good things. Is that again must be the Britishness in us, happy to
Yes.
stand in a queue, sort of mentality.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I do think that the challenge of just running a business
Yeah,
is a challenge. It's particularly obviously challenging just now, just with all the extra layers of complexity that just keep throwing on top.
of
You
course.
start off with an idea that you would just like to sell handbags, and suddenly you're spending half your day filling out whatever form it is to do whatever. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, I should take a degree in form filling.
Yeah,
It's that sort of thing. It's all that, all those other bits. Um, but I think, at the end of the day, the real challenge has always got to be you've got to be able to sell your product, and you've got to be able to get the cash in the door and manage that.
of course.
That's always and that's always the thing that is the hardest to get and hardest to keep, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's probably the most consistent challenge.
Okay.
And you'll have
Ongoing.
others that, ongoing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's always there. And you think about, I was watching a program the other day, the one about Ratner's. Don't know how many people even remember that. But he went and did a speech, which should have been a very simple thing to do, to the Institute of Directors one evening. And by the end of it, he just literally trashed his business with just one comment. And it's like, oh my God, how? And I don't think he even realized the magnitude of
Yeah.
it. So it was, I think there was a conversation about it 25 years or something of Charles Ratner, and they were the biggest jewelry company in the whole of the UK,
Wow.
global as well. I mean, and they owned H. Samuel and just about everybody on the high street.
Oh dear.
And he made a very unfortunate remark about the quality of his product. And
Oh my
literally,
goodness.
I know now you think about that. I mean, why would you even think that? But it never
Yeah.
started like that. And it was a bit of a throwaway comment that
Okay.
probably sounded funny when he was practicing
Yeah.
for his speech.
Where's his
And
PA?
exactly, yeah. And of course, back in those days, you had much less control in a way. I always think the one thing, and there's lots of bad things about social media, but it can be used to change a story or manage a
Of
story.
course.
But back in the day, and it was one journalist decided to make that his mission to just keep on and on, and he did, and
Wow.
it broke the business and all those
Gosh.
jobs that people lost and everything. But just that one comment, so it's like,
Oh dear.
oh, I try and
You're
avoid
walking around
those
like
types of
this.
comments. I know. Yeah, yeah. As my husband says, one day you're a peacock, and the next day you're a feather duster.
Yeah. Ever the optimist.
Ever the optimistic, yes, yeah. He says he's really quite optimistic, yes. There we go.
Dear me. I would imagine, Sarah, when you first, went into this, that you had an idea of what success looked like for you. Now that you're 6 years in, has that definition changed at all?
Um, I think that as you start to sort of progress, the numbers get bigger. So
Yeah,
that's why it's not always good to just have a sort of a number thing. But I think that I always knew that if I was going to do something, I wanted to make sure that we had happy customers. And that sounds really, bit not trivial, but just a bit like everyone says that. But that was something that bothered me, and I wanted to make sure that we sort of stuck to that as best we can,
yeah,
because things are never perfect, just with people. But we have genuinely got our 5-star reviews, and we've worked hard for those.
yeah,
And that goes all the way back to our atelier where we get the bags made. Everything is about just making sure we deliver that experience.
yeah,
So for me, that's something that kind of held on to. And sometimes you have to, you don't, it's not a straight linear path to
yeah,
get to
definitely.
that. Um, and then other things have changed that, I might have thought I was going to add this into the range or do that, but actually it's not really, turns out not the most practical
Yeah,
thing to do, So just because I thought it and wrote it down doesn't always mean that it will turn out.
yeah.
But yeah, I tried to, yeah,
I
think.
do I do think though, I know that you said, maybe it's a bit trivial, but I think from our entire conversation so far, it is so clear how much your customers mean to you. Like you can tell that that is deep rooted within your ethos as I think as an individual, but also your ethos as a business. It is so obvious how much you
Yeah.
care about your customers.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, and it's like you've got to remember them. Yeah. So yeah, I just think everyone should be treated nicely.
Yeah.
Doesn't
And you
seem
can see
that
how much you
difficult.
appreciate them as well, and you appreciate the
Yeah,
fact that they're continuing to buy from you. So
hanging
it's
in there.
yeah.
Hanging in. And you get some enjoyment from it as well, to be fair, you know.
Yeah.
Not all of them are great. You know, we've had customers that have like only came to buy one bag and now I find they've got all these bags and they bags really, but it's just that they've got into it and they've
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And we do have an active community. It's in Facebook. And people have genuinely made friendships and they're not just
Oh,
online friendships anymore. And people have met people that they didn't know lived in the same street as them, which in
wow.
itself is like, that's a bit bizarre. But you often in this world, particularly if you're in a city, you probably don't necessarily know who
Yeah.
lives in every single door. So
No.
I
But
think
then if they're
that's
walking down the street
nice.
in one of your gorgeous bags, they'll be like,
That's
oh my
it.
God, you're my
Yeah,
person.
that's it. Yeah, and they do. They call that. Oh, I saw a bag in the wild. You know,
Ah,
and I think that's nice. I think, yeah, and for some people to have developed friendships in that way, I
yeah.
think that's nice. It's normally handbags at dawn, so it's actually quite nice that females are using their handbags to make friends and
Yeah.
friendships, which is nice. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. So if you could go back and give a piece of advice to your younger self, Sarah, what would that be?
Obviously, don't design handbags. Stay in tech. Um, no, I
Leave tech
think
sooner.
that's it. Leave tech sooner. Exactly. Turn it round. So no, I think I would probably say to myself, try not, be willing. Remember to be willing to learn as you go.
Yeah,
I think that's, you don't know everything, and I do genuinely think that every day is a school day. There'll
yeah,
always be something, and in here in our offices, I do say that quite a lot. And I think the other strong thing is about being easy to do business with,
yeah,
in a sort of a positive way, being open to ideas, and a business can't sit still. So if you do, where's the horse and cart now?
yeah,
So it's kind of like you really do have to be willing to move forward.
yeah.
So yeah, I would tell myself to remember that.
Amazing. So if I was to ask you, what if you could give me three words that you want a woman to feel like when they're using one of your bags, what would you say?
I think probably joy, joy, and joy.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, and I could say bags of joy. Um, Yeah, yeah, I want them to, I do want them to feel joy, and then I want them to feel that they've got a luxury product that they can have with them. That whole luxury thing and that craftsmanship, somebody, when you're hand making and handcrafting, somebody has put their heart and soul into producing
yeah.
a beautiful product, and probably versatility, to know that this bag can change up or be used for every occasion, I think for me. So yeah, joy, luxury, and versatility.
Ah, joy, luxury, and versatility. I love that.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we are running out of time, Sarah, but ha can you tell everybody how they can get their hands on some of your gorgeous pieces?
Yes, get their hands on some bags. So yeah, please do come and visit. And on our website, sarahharan.com. And yeah, that's the best way. We've got a studio in London and a studio in Glasgow, which is outside Glasgow, but online has been our sort of main channel.
Amazing.
One day hope to have more than that, but yeah, sarahharan.com. There we go.
Fantastic. Well, it's been
Thanks so
absolutely
much.
lovely to meet you and chat to you. I will put all of the links in the show notes.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I cannot wait to see you hit your 10 million.
Thank you. Yes, that would be me too. Me too.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you to everybody that's listening. Thank you. Yeah,
amazing. Thank
thank you.
you.